Popping off a little early today. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. Also, standard rules apply here, people. Type ready. Let me know where you're from. Let me know what you shoot and what you shoot with. All right. I want to see a bunch of people typing ready, where they're from, what you shoot, and what you shoot with. We're going to get this going in a second. Happy Monday, everybody. Hope everybody's well. We had quite a week, quite a month so far here on the Events channel. Everybody hear me all right? We're good, we're good, we're good. I know I'm on like a crazy delay, but I don't see anybody popping off in that chat, so I'm not going to get going. I don't care. Don't care. All right. There we go. There we go. All right. Let's get this going with this and boom. What's going on, guys? Welcome. Happy Monday. What's going on, Colin, Roberto, Robin, Edgar? How's everybody doing? Joel? All right. Got some UK in here. Got some Boston in here. Boston. Oh, boy. I'm going to have some news about Boston soon. If you are part of PPA in Massachusetts or PPAMA, or I don't know how any of this stuff works, but Professional Photographers of America, their Massachusetts or Boston affiliate. Stay tuned. I'm going to have some news for you guys soon. I can't say anything yet till it's solidified. All right. Got a bunch of Canon people, a bunch of Nikon people. Gotcha. Heidi, how are you? So yeah, we've had quite a month in this event space. You had, first of all, Daniel as always, right? Keeping it stable. You had Ab Cisse. You had the immortal Joe McNally. You had Gavin Hoey. I threw myself in here, even though I'm not super psyched on that demo. I did do a demo, right? I will be doing another demo on the 12th. That's going to be a character demo. I think I'm going to have it a little more dialed. I feel like I shook some rust off, you know. But we're gonna see what comes of that one. We haven't done anything like character-y feeling in a while, and I feel like the first thing we do is we go like cinematic, and then we just like, okay. I won't get more into it. I'll let you know once that gets posted. But there's a lot going on here. So before we get into what's going on here, I am here to answer your questions. I didn't get really much on the question sticker on my IG, so let's just pop over to the events page really quick so I can talk to you guys about this. All right. So if you're in New York, right, Tuesday is your day. Small Rig's going to be here for a table. You can bring in your camera. You can talk to some reps, but they're going to basically show you like almost an infinite catalog of grip to maximize your kit. So if you ever wanted to add a micro arm, get a cage, throw a monitor on there, figure out an audio solution, I mean, the Small Rig has been like there for every single setup I've probably ever had. The cages, hey Joanne, Dr. Joanne, the cages that what was I just saying? Oh, the cages that we use on the cameras here in the event space are Small Rig, so they'll be here. Come hang out, say what's up, check out what's going on with being able to build out your kit. Also, Tuesday, July 28th. Tuesday. This is in person only. Me and Daniel Norton have brought back the Adorama critique. So you submit your images, you show up, we talk about it, and you don't have to submit images to join. So if you're going to be in New York or you are in New York, Tuesday, 5 p.m., coming out the space, it's just constructive feedback and it's a creative discussion. So a lot of people seem to like it. It feels like Adult Swim. Me and Dan don't got to be on camera, so it's kind of chilling here. And the more you guys support it, the more we will bring it back. So make sure you come for that. Wednesday, Ab Cisse is making his triumphant return back to Coffee with Creators. We haven't had him on in a very long time. Yeah, he's been in the event space. Yeah, you've seen videos. Yeah, you follow him, but like I haven't sat down and had him in the podcast for a while. So he'll be here on Wednesday. And then Wednesday evening, Justin Piccari is back with a single light demo. If you remember, Justin Piccari did that demo about gels. He was very in-depth on gels. He had a Roscoe rep in the chat. He was doing a lot of stuff based off of Dick Tracy because of the Storaro gels and the whole story of that. If you haven't seen that demo, that's on this channel. You go check that out. I even mashed it up with one of my past demos so you can put a 2-for-1 deal in there in the video section of this channel, but good guy. He'll be here Thursday, the 30th. There's a photo walk, and this is with Lee Varys and Bobby Lane, and they're going to be talking about street and travel photography. So they're going to first talk to you guys about how they go about preparing and what they look for and how they go about street and travel. And then they're going to go out and shoot with you. So make sure you sign up for that. You have to RSVP for that if you want to join the walk. On the 30th, also, Pelican's going to be here to talk about how you can customize the cases and get the most out of your Pelican kit. I think everybody owns a Pelican at some point in their career, if not always. Coffee Creators back with Remy Morales, who is a New York local, but he's an aerial filmmaker, so we talk a lot about drones, stuff like that. And then Daniel's back on the 6th with beauty photography on a budget, so getting those glamour looks without going crazy into buying gear, which, you know, I know you guys appreciate. And then there's just a lot more coming up. So make sure you are following the Adorama Eventbrite. Like, go to Eventbrite and follow Adorama as an organizer so you can stay up on it. I want to say what's up to Quinn. She's in the house today. And yeah, so I don't have a lot of questions on the question sticker. St. Louis Johnny is asking, I saw that Siri has released a bunch of anamorphic lenses for all major camera brands. Any chance you could demo one of those? If I get my hands on one, sure. Anamorphic lenses are kind of... The thing about anamorphic lenses were they were always massive and huge, and now we're getting to a place where they're lower cost, smaller, easier to handle, but they're almost always manual focus. They're a certain look. That's all it is that you are talking about the way the out of focus is shaped, the way it receives light, meaning like like streaks, J.J. Abrams, right? All those streaky, flary type things. If I get my hands on one, maybe I'll throw it in here and we'll get into it. But I don't have one, so I can't really demo that right now. But anamorphic became like this, I don't want to say like a trend, but it's definitely a look that a lot of people have gravitated to pretty quickly. It's almost like when photographers all picked up mist filters and were like, oh, this is my thing. It's like, okay, it's always been around. But if the tool is giving you the looks that you want or the feel of the image that you want, then it's the right tool for what you're doing, right? So it's cool that companies like Suri are out there putting out anamorphics. There's a lot out there. I mean, you've got a lot of people that are taking actual cine lenses and adapting them via PL mounts. So PL to like Z mount, PL to L mount, things like that, PL to E mount, stuff like that. So taking like known cinema lenses and adapting them to your camera, but just know almost always it makes the lens completely manual. So you're slowing down, if you're an autofocus fiend or whatever, like it's an adjustment for real. So, you know, it feels trendy, but I was just shocked by the affordability. Oh, what is this? It feels trendy, but I was shocked by the affordability of them. So just curious. Yeah, I think it's trendy because it's a cool look, right? Like, it's not like a trend that people are jumping into because it's the new hot thing. It really does lend a certain vibe and feel to the image. And because a lot of people, especially young people right now, are ingesting content that is filmed on anamorphic, you're talking about every movie that they're watching, every HBO series, things like that. They're so used to that look that I think when you're quote unquote raised on the look, on a certain look, I should say, you tend to emulate in your own work till you find really what's yours, right? Look, when I was figuring out my whole cinematic style or whatever you want to call it, I was addicted to, and I still am, I was addicted to Scorsese, Aronofsky. You know, there's just so many amazing filmmakers that gave us such amazing feel through just the imagery and the cinematography of it, you know? And also, you know, there's just such... Your lens is 100% your viewer's perspective. So you are choosing how your viewer is seeing what you're trying to relay. So if anamorphic gets you there, then I totally get it. You know, I totally get it. If you guys are new here, I do this every Monday that I'm available, 11 a.m. Eastern. This is episode 56. We've been doing 56 weeks of this. Last week, Gavin Hoey was here. We just kind of like knocked around a light for a little bit, you know, just hanging out. One question that I did get, my thoughts on MagMod modifiers. Okay, so I don't really own any. I had some a million years ago, like maybe one or two things, and I think I gave them to an assistant. Not saying that they're not good. I just am nothing really connected for me with the way I shoot and the way I work. I also was a little weary of having something with such a high powered magnet near my laptop. And we can talk about how SSDs have come so far and electronics have come so far and magnets aren't really a threat. I don't want to risk that. These are very high powered magnets in that system, and I've seen them through camera bags stick to things. And so if I have a laptop there, I'm not playing that game. I'm sure it's fine, but it's too critical for me. And there's nothing about having to swap a magnet on and off. I'm fine using gaff tape. I've been using it for 25 years, you know? So if it adds something for you, awesome. If it's some kind of like speed factor for you, that's been working out, great. If you're someone that flies between modifiers, also keep in mind that in situations where I am flying through modifiers or looks, I typically have another light set up. So if you're someone that might have only one light in your kit and you just have the magnet mount on it and you're just flying between a gel or some diffuser thing or whatever, like knock yourself out. I have no experience with their softbox or anything like that. But look, I am all for different options, different methods, and different tools being available to us. So if it works for you, great. You know, it's just, it hasn't been in my kit. So what would you use to boom an Explorer 600 for a main light with a 42-inch octabox attached? Well, I would probably use a mini boom, but you can get away with just, where are you? You can get away with depending on what you're doing, you can get away with a 40-inch C-stand arm, but there are heavier arms than this. Like I would probably go to let me see if I can find something like this, which you might have seen me use in my own studio. This is a mini boom, so it's not a mega boom. So a mega boom is like that one that's black and looks like the diameter of a coffee can. This is basically a center column of a C-stand that's put onto a can I zoom in? Oh, it's low res, but it's basically a center column of a C-stand. So it's beefed up. It's way more diesel and less prone to flex or bend or sway than just a 5/8 arm like it's on a C-stand. This is, I will say, stuff like this, don't just buy it and throw a heavy thing onto it. You're gonna have to break it in. You're gonna have to like work the knobs, break up the finish a little bit, get some good grip on it. Like, don't buy this, throw it on set, and put some human being underneath it, okay? Also, the other thing you should think about is, do you really need to boom out? Do you really need to put up a softbox, or can you put the softbox straight up, pitch it down, and just put it next to your shoulder or shoot around it? Do you really need to boom it out? That's the first question you've got to ask yourself, because almost, I'm going to say like half the time I see people throwing huge things on an arm, and then I look at the way they're shooting. They could have just put it onto a stand straight up and pitched it rather than hang it over someone's head. So really question if you need to boom, or so to speak. Let me put this in the chat. There's also the Westcott arm, which is this one. I haven't used this one, but it is available out there for bigger lights and stuff like that. So I'll put this link in the chat, and I'll put the mini boom in the chat. I've just used the mini boom forever, and it's just like kind of been what I use. I don't know. Why is everything so zoomed in? Yeah, I just put that in the chat, Heidi. So there's a few options if you think that a standard 5/8 40-inch C-stand arm isn't going to be as stable as you would like, but just seriously, before you think you need to boom it out, really determine if you need to boom it out. Okay. Yeah. So why is this chat not as fast as this chat? I have 2 chats up and one is so much slower. Anyway, if you guys have any questions, we can get into it. I didn't really have much planned for today. It's been what, a month, guys. I did think about showing you this because it's been here for a little while. So a minute ago, you might have remembered, if you've watched these all the time, that Nanlux made this 5-watt water submersible LED, right? And this was one that they made for me with my name on it. How cool is that, right? Well, the thing about them is they're kind of like the piranha of lights, because you're going to want to gang them up and make like a whole group out of them. And that is what this maxed out looking kit is. This is an 8-light kit that charges the lights in this case, right? And gives you all the modifiers. Let's pop this thing open, okay? Shout out to Sylvia for getting me this to play with. So this, look at this. This is a full kit with every modifier you can think of. E26 sockets, right? Battery handles, focusable spotlights with gobos, right? Like, the list just keeps going on and on and on with this. And what's cool is, if I plug this in, these glow green, yellow, and red, depending on where they're at charging wise. So it's actually, let's plug it in and see where we're at. Let's see if I can get an outlet that's close by, or maybe I have a stinger somewhere that yep, I got a stinger. Beautiful. All right, so if I plug in this extension cord, right, and imagine taking it through TSA. I mean, look, something like this, you know, shippable, rentable, you know. A lot of times a kit like this is one of those things you leave on a grip truck or a G&E truck, and just, it's there, you know, you have it when you need a small light that has a lot of modification to it. You need to catch lights in someone's eye for a close-up. You put that light right under there, get that dot, you know, or maybe you need to spotlight a certain prop or a brand or a logo in a busy scene, and this can get in there and you won't even recognize it, right? But what's cool is it's also, these can get put underwater. So, you know, there's a lot of uses for this. So if I plug that in and I turn on the power, you can see, can you guys see that it's glowing? Like, these are green. Let me shut off some lights. Maybe that'll help. Because it's you know, obviously not the brightest thing ever. So if I do this and I hit the battery indicator, you guys can see that the green ones that are glowing are fully charged. Orange ones are partially there. And then red is, they got a long way to go, right? Can you guys see that? Let me see if I can zoom in maybe. This is Nanlux, which is Nanlite, basically. This is their cinema division, basically. So you see how they're glowing red there? Green, orange, and you can just keep on checking on them. So it's just kind of a cool thing. But just imagine you set this up to charge, you know, and you're not looking to plug in each individual light into like a USB port, or, you know, searching for batteries or whatever. You're charging the units, and then you're also charging battery handles as well. So you're kind of covered there, you know. Man, I don't know what's going on with YouTube, but every other thing you guys are saying, it's flagging for indecency. So if something you're saying is not, if I'm not acknowledging it, I might be missing it, just so you know that, all right? Sometimes YouTube has some crazy cranked up AI. So, you know, you got Fresnels, little Fresnels, right? Barn doors, silicone snoots, right? Little silicone snoots, right? And it's just pretty much however you want to modify this, you can figure it out with what's going on here. Of course, you've got a spot beam, right? So yeah, it's just very cool. And you have 8 of these at your beck and call. Actually, I should probably leave this plugged in because it looks like they could use some charging. Also, what's cool is you're constantly conditioning these batteries to be like one isn't always being used more than another. If you rotate these lights and you keep dropping them, you're conditioning the batteries to be ubiquitous. And then you're not wondering like one will die faster than another. No, you're constantly in that situation, you know? That little square box light is so handy. I see them in almost every fantasy type of photo shoot. Great for having the model holding in their hand. Yeah, it's, you know, I got to tell you, people overlook small lights until you need a small light, right? You need to hide it inside of a scene. You need to just pinpoint something. Really, I do find it pretty cool to do like a spotlight, like you have it right under a lens and it's not affecting the light pattern you're creating, but it's bright enough to make a reflection in someone's eye, like a specular highlight, catch light. If you want that, it's very cool to have. I think they're very fun. I love when things have their spots so clever and organized. Yeah, I think that it's kind of in our nature as photographers and video people, lighting, like sometimes the case is as exciting as the gear because you're like, oh, look at this case. It's so everything right there. You know, we just wanted the peace of mind to know that our stuff is just where it is, when we need it, and how we need it to be when we need it, you know. I was wondering, why is it such a big deal with teleconverters? Also, is there a time and place to use vintage lenses in certain situations and to go with a lens that starts with f4? Okay, hold on. Let me digest this because this just came out of nowhere. I was wondering, why is it such a big deal with teleconverters? What do you mean by where is that coming from? What have you heard or been told that is a big deal regarding teleconverters? Let's start there. Also, is there a time and place to use vintage lenses in certain situations? Yeah, if you want the look of that vintage lens. A lot of times a vintage lens has things like older coatings that give you a different color tone, or light flares in a certain way across the glass, or some of them shoot warmer. You know, a lot of people chase certain vintage glass for out of focus, dreamy feel corners, or the aperture blades are a certain way that the texture of the background goes. Every lens, whether it's 100 years old or put out today, has some sort of look and character to it. Whether that character is sterile or has a lot of imperfection to it that makes it feel organic, whatever it is, if you are selecting a tool, you need to look at what that tool is delivering and what you can do with it. You know what I'm saying? So I think really easily people get swept up into, well, this lens is better than this lens. Well, why is it? I have lenses that are 100% plastic that I think look way cooler than stuff I spent $4,000 on. But my $4,000 lens will get me the cleanest look ever for another type of job that I'm doing, you know? So you have to kind of, also don't forget, it's not just glass. Sometimes it's the gearing and the motors. So older vintage lenses might have a longer throw of focus that really lets you slowly rack focus, as opposed to a modern lens that might be a very short throw and you don't really get that small movement of focus unless you're really careful with it. You know, there's just so many things about vintage versus modern lenses that you go on and on and on about. And then and to go with lenses that start at f4, that I'm not sure what you're asking about the f4 thing. Also, why is this chat room like still, and this one is not? I don't know what's going on with this chat over here, but it is not updating fast enough. All right. So I'm not sure what you're asking about the f4. Why is Photoshop opening up on this PC? What is happening right now? Sorry, guys, hang on. What is happening right now? I didn't even know I had Photoshop on here. Okay, so Spike is saying, I've heard that it takes away sharpness and takes away the f-stop like 2.8 to f4. Teleconverters seem to convenient. I am sorry, Spike. I am having a hard time gripping what you're asking me here as far as this goes. I hear that takes away sharpness. Okay, so years ago when you shot, why is this popping up here? Years ago when you shot DSLR, the rule of thumb was to close down to make it sharper. We've kind of moved a little past that when it comes to mirrorless. Without there being a mirror box that is focusing to the mirror and then your sensor is behind that mirror by a few millimeters, we don't really have that fine tuning that we need anymore because we're focusing to the sensor that is receiving the light straight up. Okay. So that closing down thing, here and there, it might come into play, but overall, it's not as critical as it used to be. So when you say something like f4 and then people might think, okay, well then I got to close down to like 6.3 to make it a sharp lens. Not so much. You guys have seen me use f4 lenses almost every demo, right? And while it would be great to have 2.8 or f2 or 1.8 or 1.4 or 1.2, whatever, you don't have to break the bank for those lenses unless you truly want the look that those lenses are delivering, you know? And look, I'm in the middle of a store. I'm telling you, you don't got to spend a lot of money. All right. I don't care what you guys buy, but I hope that you guys don't feel like you're going to burn out your budget. Then you're not psyched to shoot. And then you kind of leave this, you know? Hi, Seth. I heard Tether One can tether wireless now. Thoughts on this? Yes. So I actually am talking to Capture One. They are going to physically come in here on a Monday and do it in front of you guys. So you have the actual people that can answer every single question under the sun about the setup. But right now, the wireless tether is only in 2 camera bodies for Canon, and that's it right now for the new generation of wireless tether. The old generation still exists, but it is significantly slower. And I don't know anyone that is really using it like they would be cable. The generation 2 is significantly faster. One, because you take the shot and Capture One AI generates what the final image will look like as it loads the rest of the data. So you have a working image to work with while it's loading the data. So it still takes a little more time to get that data over to your machine while you're wirelessly tethering as opposed to using a cable. But you don't feel it. 2, it's significantly more stable. The range seems to be better. And when I say stable, I mean in hectic environments with a lot of wavelengths going on. I've watched a few demos here in New York in buildings with multiple studios going on with who knows what kind of Wi-Fi wavelengths all over the place. And it was super stable. I was very impressed by it. But it is only available for the Canon R1 and R5 Mark II. Mark II, okay? So the 2 newest cameras they've got, you know? The goal is to roll it out to other cameras, obviously. The goal is also to roll it out to other brands, obviously. But that takes a lot of working together behind the scenes, really close knit. And I think that's what has to happen next, right? But I will have, I think Marshall maybe from Capture One will be in here. Maybe I'll see if he can come next week. I don't know. I'll give you guys a heads up on my social if I can make that come together. But I was hanging out with them last Thursday with Joe McNally, and they're like, "Yeah, just let us know because now they have an office here in New York, right in Soho. It's a 15-minute subway here, and we're good, you know." Joe Coons, does a smaller aperture give deeper color registration? How about you fill in a little more for that? Are you saying more saturation? And if you're asking saturation, are you asking this because lowering the power of your lights with a gel will give you a deeper color? Is that kind of where you're getting the same logic from? Overall, not really, but also in a certain way, maybe kind of. So let's say you're shooting super shallow. If it's a less sharp scene, less contrast because it's not as sharp. Colors can tend to murk because a bright can overlap a dark, and then they kind of mix in the soft focus, and thus you will lose, I guess, some color saturation in that situation. Like if someone had makeup on and you were shooting super shallow, and from the eye to the ear starts getting very soft, and you might not see, I guess, some blush or something as deep as you would if it was sharp, because what you're actually losing is contrast. So our monkey primate brains go, that's not as deep of a color because you're dropping back contrast. Does that kind of make sense? So it's not so much saturation, it's more perception of color rather than saturation of color. Is that fair? I will say it like that. Jacob's asking, you always use 5000K white balance on your Nikon Z. Do you have a similar setting for your GFX? In my GFX, I tend to leave it on daylight white balance because I know it puts me in the pocket of my daylight balanced strobes and my daylight balanced modifiers. I've just found that for me, with the Nikon system and Pro Photo lights and Pro Photo modifiers, that 5000K gives me the color where I want it more. With that said, if I used a different softbox, for example, a lot of these Paris snaps that Glow has, which I do like using, a lot of these shoot a lot colder than I'm used to, and therefore I usually use a gray card to figure out what my white balance is when using something like this. They shoot bluer because they're kind of calibrating. Some strobes just shoot a little warmer than expected, and I suspect that these are calibrated colder for certain strobes out there. To when the warm strobe hits the cooler diffusion, it neutrals out. I found that with Pro Photo, when my strobe hits this diffusion, it gets cooler, and it does affect my skin tone. You know, I also think that a lot of camera brands will make their image a little bit more to the warmer side because it makes people look healthier or whatever, or skin tones a little more rich. But doesn't mean it's necessarily accurate. And because the camera brand will make the color a little warmer, these guys probably calibrated this to be a little bluer so that that situation makes more of a neutral light. When it's the camera making it warm, and then you get a cooler light out of the diffuser, it'll neutralize. So, but this is all stuff that you notice over time. You get used to things. The more you shoot, the more you light, the more you make a point of noticing subtleties and little details like shadow pattern and minute, longer, shorter shadows, textures, reflections, shadow density, and things like the color of the strobe. This will absolutely start plaguing your brain, like me and Daniel and other people that have lost our minds over something as dumb as the color of someone's lip because of this light. You know, it is what it is. Man. We used to call that density back in my Photolab days. Yeah, Photolab days were based off of CMYK, basically. Well, not K, but cyan, magenta, yellow, and you would dial in the density of the filter to then print the photos. So the density was based on the filter, not the color you were getting in the print. And I know that because I did a 1 hour photo a million years ago when I was a little kid. I actually developed images from disposable cameras that came in via a garbage bag from first responders at 9/11, just dropping off endless disposable cameras, because back then that's what they were trying to just shoot, take any images they could because they were right in there. But unfortunately, these guys didn't know to not use the flash, because the flash hit all the dust and the dust would explode all the light, and they just got a bunch of white frames basically. but that's a whole nother story for another time. Desenio's saying, I'm not sure, but I think Spike is referring to the fact that a teleconverter will make whatever lens you use on it take away 2 stops. So you will absolutely lose light with a teleconverter because you're physically moving the lens off of the camera. The light is still traveling more distance to get in the camera. And because it's not native optic, you will lose light going to your camera. Absolutely. You know, there's a huge discussion about teleconverters that you buy after the fact can degrade the image a little bit, not be as sharp or whatever, but it gives you the reach. When you buy a lens like a 400 or a 600 that has a built-in teleconverter, you don't lose image quality because it's a native optic that drops in. It's almost like they built the lens that way first and removed it for you to give you the 2.8. Then you drop it in, it becomes an f4. But those lenses start at about $14,000, $15,000 for a reason, you know? Yeah. Wow, you guys are on all cylinders today, huh? I heard, excuse me, let me just grab this. Joel's asking, I heard you recently talk about lighting clothing with hard light and the face with soft light. Curious how you would set that up and manage the shadows so that they're not distract or clash. So when I talk about lighting a garment with harder light, I'm talking about something like maybe a large parabolic behind me to hit the clothes with harder light. So in a uniform fashion, no pun intended, to bring out all the details like the thread, the buttons, the knit, all that kind of stuff, the seams and things like that. When I bring in the softer light for someone's face, that's when I just bring it into place within range of someone's face, just for their face, like a small 1-foot softbox. Some cases I've done small shoot-through umbrellas, and all that's doing is kind of key lighting the face, and there really isn't a shadow to manage because I'm hitting, the hard light is so large that where those shadows land will be organic anyway. So, and if I needed to, I could run a fill light to mitigate some of that, but because the hard light is usually behind me, it's going like this, and therefore the shadow will be behind the subject rather than, like, say they're wearing a coat, had a big lapel and a shadow casting this way, wouldn't really happen, because what's happening is that the light's going this way, not this way or this way. It's coming at them, right? So it gives you that flatter look while giving you that detail. And then I would light for the face. A lot of the times I did that, to be honest with you, was stuff like stockings and stuff, because I shot for a brand in Europe and they wanted to see them look very shiny on a girl's legs. I would point almost raw lights at the girl's legs and light the environment and then light their face separately, you know? Oh man, it'd be great to hear some of your favorite stories one of these hours. I'm one of these, I almost don't have stories till I remember I have a story. Does that make a sense? So while we're talking about stuff like, oh yeah, that one time I did that thing, like, but I don't have like this catalog that I run through. Usually, it's discussion based that it comes out. I don't even think I have that great. Like, Joe McNally is the king of stories. I don't think I have that many stories. He's shot everywhere in every crevice of the world you can think of. But I get shoved into studios more than in locations. So, how is working with Gavin and his own cameras? Wondering if he managed to convince you they can do it. Sorry, I love Nikon, Fuji. Your own cameras work well in our tiny tanks. Look, any camera will work in the certain situations. I'm not taking anything away from Ohm's system, but when you are in a controlled environment where you are controlling all the light, your ISO staying low and all that stuff, sure, you can get whatever image you're looking for out of that. When I have clients that are looking for me to shoot head to toe and then be able to rip from that file a crop of the watch, a crop of just this, you're going to need resolution and some sensor real estate, I'll say. I think it's a little mythical for people to think that there's no reason for other formats or certain formats to exist. Micro Four Thirds has its advantages, just like medium format has its advantages. Micro Four Thirds might make small light cameras, and because the sensor is smaller, allow for a lot of travel within the stabilization systems and have short readout speeds, which is why a lot of people use them for video. But then you can look at APS-C also getting to a place where it's smaller, lighter, and kind of hitting the same thing with a larger sensor to allow me to raise my ISO a little bit more if I wanted to, or have certain lenses that I look for, or, you know, also don't forget having a smaller format means that you're constantly stepping back rather than closer for the framing you're getting, and thus you are gaining depth of field rather than losing it. So if you've been looking for a shallow look, it's not as optimal to get a shallow look out of a smaller sensor plane like that than something like a full frame. But on the other side of that is things like full frame and medium format are massive data rates, and thus you can worry about things like bottlenecking memory cards, or you're buffering your camera, or we're only now seeing 30 frames a second or whatever with some raw files, but not all raw files, right? You know, the larger sensor, the more data comes with more responsibility as well. Drive space, you know, so you're taking. It's always a give and take relationship with systems. And because something like Ohm's system might have a lower data rate, you can do things like more computational type photography, like their live comp situations, or they have really good focus stacking, and mainly because they have such a tighter depth of field and stuff like that. So I think it's a little, I don't want to say irresponsible, but there's definitely like these people out there that are making videos and teaching classes that it doesn't matter. In my opinion, at some point, gear matters. If you are trying to do something or achieve something, it either will hit a limit, or it will make it harder, or take you longer time, or be less consistent. Every softbox, every modifier for lighting you could imagine has started out as some kind of janky DIY material until someone needed to be consistent and look the same every time. And thus, we manufacture softboxes. You know, we've all shot light through a bed sheet and gotten really beautiful, nice light. But you go and grab another bed sheet, and that one's shooting warmer, and that one's shooting greener. And what happened? It's not the same bed sheet. It's not the same consistency. So gear, you can always make something happen, and if you understand your fundamentals, your principles, you will know which way to go and navigate to a successful outcome and a result. But for the most part, at some point, you have to understand where your gear has its limits. You have to understand what you're going to be getting from that equipment and what the workflow with that equipment will be, right? So, you know, as beautiful as the image is out of my GFX 102, I'm not pulling that out all the time because it's a bit of a slower system, or I don't need a 250 megabyte file for something I'm doing that day, right? We are at a point, though, where there are systems that are getting so good for the format they're in. Like I said, like APS-C, Fujifilm has done amazing things with it. We have stacked 40 megapixel APS-C sensors now that have beautiful image quality. Incredible, right? And it keeps the cost down for someone that can't afford $1,000 more for a full frame version of something equivalent to that, right? So Joel is saying, really jealous of some of their computational elements. I love their composite feature. So here's a great example. For me, I never really get into the computational features of things because I don't look to do altering type images, right? If I shot something like macro product and I needed something that fast and simple for like an online store that doesn't need the most resolution, having focus stacking in camera, fantastic, fantastic. But then I've also seen full frame systems that if I take the extra 2 steps to run it through Helicon or whatever and focus stack, it's incredible results for that as well. So the live comp is a cool feature if you're someone that wants to do long exposure type photography. Cool. I have never looked to do long exposure as a composite, and I've always looked to do long exposure as a single frame. So for me, I lean away from computational and I'm more practical. But if I have that tool on hand and I come up to a situation where I don't have a lot of time or whatever, or just makes it that much easier, let's go. Why not? Why wouldn't I want it? Right? So you really have to decide, what type of photographer you are, what type of images you want to create, what type of results you want to get, and then really learn what the tools do, how they do, what they do. You know, I feel like this has been a very philosophical, opinionated, ask me anything, but so Gaston's asking, in your lab days, did you ever develop Chrome prints? Yes, actually, still on my wall to this day. I have Chrome skateboard photos that I shot when I was a kid, and I printed those from Fuji Film. Oh, I want to say Provia or Velvia. It's one of those. Probably Velvia if I remember the rat punk Seth that I was back then. But Chrome or Chrome was beautiful. It's a dye destructive process. The paper is actually black and it breaks away. Instead of every other photo paper that's white with a white border, it's black and it has like this rich metallic-y feel to it. One of the most beautiful types of prints you will ever see is from Chrome or Chrome. Chrome is Ilford's version of Chrome, basically. Incredible stuff. Really, really beautiful. Very toxic chemistry, though. I don't miss being sick all the time. Yeah, there's a demo here with someone that did a long exposure. Yeah, that was Susan Magnano. That's on this channel as well. I guess the moral that I hope that this stream gives you guys is there is no best of, the only one you ever need, blah, 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 blah. I don't believe in that. I believe in getting intentional and using the equipment to then get to that intention to reality, getting that intention to reality. We all have our faves. We all have things we lean into. I think we're spoiled with the technology we have, what we're able to do, what we are able to get in our hands, the accessibility. I mean, are you kidding me? It is nuts. You're watching me on a full frame camera that costs like less than $2,000 that's streaming in 4K. Insane to me. And it tracks wherever I go, right? What are we doing anymore? What are we doing anymore? No, Joe, I appreciate you guys showing up to these. I know these streams don't do too well, but I think it's important that we have this format where we hang out and we just chat and we kind of set some things straight. I get to hear from you guys what your concerns are out there, right? Like I can only bring what I can bring, but if you guys don't care about it, why am I even bringing it, right? So if you guys let me know, you guys do let me know what is happening out there. So you are as much of this as I am. And I just try to give you guys accurate information. I try to give you guys some sort of opinion from an insightful place. Not that I know everything, not that my opinion is the end all. You want to hear two guys go at it? Me and Dan have fought over the dumbest things in equipment. You have no idea. But we respect each other enough to hear the other side, and then we go, all right. And then we usually kind of meet in the middle somewhere. So, I mean, whatever you say out there, someone's going to have a negative response to it and say something to negate whatever you're talking about. When I first started talking about the Fujifilm GFX system, the first comment I got, was, it's not medium format. It's not really medium format. Medium format is blah, blah, blah. No, it's larger than full frame, so it's medium format. No, it's not. It's not 645. You're right, it's not 645. But it is medium format. There's a bunch of different medium formats. It's not medium format. Okay, put a full frame lens on it. Why isn't it working? Why isn't it covering that sensor plane? Oh, is it larger than full frame? It's medium format. No, it's not. Why? Because you said so? I tell you what, you have fun arguing with yourself. I'm going to go shoot cool stuff and hanging out with cool people. And that's all you got to remember is these people that will argue with you. You want to hear the biggest snobs in the world come out? Talk about parabolic reflectors. Abcise did the definitive video on parabolics. Every time you pull out a parabolic, no matter what it is, some pretentious, annoying, snobby jerk is going to go, that's not a true parabolic. Okay. And did it, even if it's true, does it affect my image? Are you telling me that these images are garbage because I need the true parabolic? Shut up. Shut up. In fact, whenever you guys are having trouble out there, if someone's choking you to death in a forum, send them here. I'll take care of them. You can go shoot cool things. I'll take care of these people that are talking a bunch of negative stuff and bogging your brain down and clogging you up from just going out there and doing something cool. Send them here. Next time someone's jumping down your throat, link them to this, and we'll see them in this chat. You know, I actually was going to do a video on my channel talking about how I like settings for beginners, and sign off with them telling like, don't worry about what anybody says to you about proper ways to do this and blah blah blah. That you send them here, you go shoot, because one of the best times in your career or hobby, I don't know, the best times you're going to have are when you're first figuring something out. And it doesn't matter. You're not clogged down up by other people's opinions, and you're just chasing something you think is cool. It's so freeing. I miss those days like no tomorrow, where every shirt, every shirt, because you just wrote shirt, because every shot was just so cool to you. Every camera was just so much fun to you. Every lens, every light, every way you could light, every modifier, every situation was just so awesome until you start hearing, that's not the proper way to do this. You're holding that camera up. Shut up. Just stop. Unless it's unsafe, like you're not doing a C-stand right and you could hurt someone, shut up. Just shut up. Go enjoy this. You're only going to have so many years where it just, if you're serious about this and try to make a living at it, where you get to play in the mud and not worry about it. You know, one of the best memories in my entire photography career was we printed large, massive prints. So what we did was we bought these 4 or 5 foot wide rolls of RC black and white paper. And we took it on larger and we flipped it on its side and we made it into a projector to project on a wall. We hung up the paper in a dark room, projected it. I still have this print. Some of you may have seen it on my own channel over the years. I pulled it out when I was live, and it was just a simple shot of me shooting through my handlebars with a point and shoot camera, flash hitting the handlebars and everything. But you see 14th Street Union Square, which meant a lot to me at that time. All the riders met up there. And through my handlebars was all the guys I rode with at that time. And so one of the best memories I have is taking that print off that wall, the paper, laying it on the ground, and then taking a mop with chemicals in it and mopping developer, mopping stop, and then mopping fixer, and then taking a hose to it. And on that print, there's still footprints on the corners where I was holding it down. And that's the footprint of a kid that was so psyched to do all of this, was not burnt out, couldn't believe I got to do this cool stuff, couldn't wait to see what else I was able to do, what else was out there for me to discover. And you're only going to have so many years of that. Some people never lose it. Joe McNally, when you work with Joe McNally, he's going to be tired. He's going to be overworked. He's going to be whatever. And then when he gets a camera in his hand and takes a frame, it's like Superman coming out of the telephone booth. Joe goes into this like he's like 15 years old with 100 years of experience, just crushing it. It is so amazing to be around, and it's so infectious, and you're just like, yeah, Joe, go chase it. Let's chase this. Let's go, you know? And I'm very grateful to be on Joe's sets. I'm very grateful to be invited to people's sets like Ab Cisse and Daniel Norton, and you know, all these colleagues that I have out there. I'm so grateful to be around it, because it's so easy to get stuck in your own head when you're approaching something to shoot, or you're trying to go do something. But when you get to like be on the peripheral and someone else is going through that, but you see how into it and how much they chase it. When you watch someone that knows what they're doing, chasing a shot because they just know what the potential could be, it's incredible. It really is. And the moral of that story is, go assist. Get onto sets. Go assist for people. If you like someone's work, go ask them if they need help. Drop them an email. Drop them a DM. You know, it's not that hard to connect with people. You can come to the event space. That's what these chairs connect with people that shoot like you do, and make some friends. Rent a studio together. Split the cost up. Cast a few models. Feed off each other. You know, it'd be cool if you did this. Hey, did you think about doing that? You'd be surprised how much more you grow. You know? Wow, I just missed a whole lot of this. Sorry, guys. The only true, yeah, Archimedes Death Right. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, did you see when they tried to recreate that on Mythbusters? It was wild. There's your merch, Seth. White tees with shutter print on the front. Yeah, no one's gonna buy that. They don't even buy my merch as it is. I only make $1 a t-shirt. Do you believe that? That is what it is. Your show did not come up on my YouTube feed until now. Oh, I'm sorry about that, Brian. And I'm glad to see you. Have you talked about Lamborghini? Lamborghini was like a year ago at this point, I think. Me and Sal D'Elia, senior producer here, incredible filmmaker. He took me to Spain with him to go hang out with Jamie Price and shoot some Lamborghinis. And that series is on the main channel. You can see Jamie Price talk about what goes into it, you know. Tom is saying, a big fan of these videos, thanks. May I suggest tutorials for still life photography? Yeah, so we have done a few product shots, tutorials. Wow, that projector just went, oh no, oh, never mind. We have done some product photography. Daniel Norton has done some product demos. I've done a few on Instagram. I think I shot the golden play button years ago. They're on here. We could get into that again if you want, sure. I do find that most people find them boring when you shoot still life, but I know the people that want it, so maybe we'll. We shot a glass bottle here because Mike Carbajal in the chat decided to send me an anatomical glass heart bottle, and we spent 2 hours photographing it, which got a little messy, but it is what it is. Photo forms have become destructive, not constructive. So let me ask you this, guys. What if I told you Adorama has a forum that you're not using? It's gone silent. What if I told you that adorama.com/Discord is a thing that you can jump into and start talking to each other and share work? What if I said that? Adorama /Discord. Here, so you can, there's actually apparently 1,800 members in there that aren't talking. So how about you guys join that Discord and start having more discussions? I'll try to pop in there when I can, but there you go. It's in the chat. Make sure you go to the rules section and select OK, and it'll unlock the rest of the chats. For those of you that are on my personal Discord, I know it's kind of like repetitive with my Discord, but if you're not, we have the Adorama Discord for you guys to talk to each other, ask questions, whatever, you know. My partner and I attended a local school circus on Saturday. I was primarily audience, not documentarian. I made a short series of casual long exposure from my seat using my phone. Fun, very cool. I'm picking up the large prints later today. I'm sure that the forum crowd will be ready to stomp all over them. Who cares? If you're psyched on them, you're psyched. If you are looking for feedback and are ready for constructive feedback to then grow because you're getting more serious. That's another story. But if you're just having fun with this, have fun with it. Have fun with it. Who cares about rules and what's proper and who cares? You're psyched on images? Keep shooting them. Are you going to have, or have you done special effects photos as a live demo? Yeah, there's on this channel is the Halloween demo I did probably a couple of years ago at this point, where I shot like a lizard alien or something like that. That's on this channel. You guys can go check that out for sure. I don't know if I'm going to be doing another one. I've actually haven't been in the special effects world for quite a while. I pop in every now and then, but it's not my major career anymore, you know? Okay, wow, we are hitting the hour, guys. Anyway, I feel like I just ranted for a monologue here. If you're in the chat, hitting like absolutely helps out this video. I really appreciate it. If you have watched this back, if you're part of the replay gang, let me know you're part of the replay gang. But also, if you made it this far, type in what food haven't we done? We always do a food, right? Type ramen in the chat. Not in the chat, in the comments. If you made it this far, type ramen in the comments. Yeah. So tomorrow is the photo critique here at Adorama in person. If you're in New York, you need to submit by tonight or it's not going to make it in here. This is in person only. We do not live stream it. This is just for you guys. Me and Daniel look at your work, give constructive feedback. You've been asking for it. Well, now it's time to be part of it. Okay, guys. Hopefully my next demo will be better than my last demo. I don't think that was my best demo. If some of you, I know Heidi was in that chat. That was a rough demo. I was not in a headspace for it, and I still am pretty burnt out. But Elisa's an amazing model. She's never modeled, so I thought that was a cool demo. If you haven't watched my demo back, it's a few videos back on this channel, along with Gavin Hoey, Ab Cisse, and the immortal Joe McNally. But let me know what you think about that demo I did. I will be back on the 12th with another one. We're going to be doing character light, I think, on this one. Not special effects, but we're going to get a little grimy looking with the light. And we're going to make it a little more atmospheric. Dare I say, a little cinematic, even though I think that's an overused word like no tomorrow. Make sure you guys hit and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the bell because this channel is like 90% live. You're going to want to get that bell rung so you get notified when we're live so you can hop in this chat and be part of these streams, ask questions to the presenters and stuff like that. Yeah. I feel like I have the worst dismount. I never know how to dismount on these. I'll tell you this, the dismount at that demo was bad. I was like, all right, I'm done, bye. That's literally what I said at that demo. Oh, God, it was such a rough demo. Hate it. Hate it. Looks like we have 3 out of 8 lights left to charge. Heidi's saying you might have been frazzled, but I thought it was great when you talked through when you work. I appreciate that. I'm glad you got something out of it. I was just like, man, it was 100 degrees. I'm exhausted out of my mind. My brain is not clicking into place because I just don't feel, when you're burnt out, man, it is so tough to find the ambition. And because you don't have the ambition, your energy drops. And because your energy drops, you're not thinking. And it's tough. I'm going to find a way to get out of this burnout headspace that I've been in. And hopefully I can do some better demos for you guys. I have done better. I will do better. I just don't, just weird. Like you don't feel it. I don't know. It's tough. It's tough. Anyway, hopefully I'll see you guys at another one of these live streams. You can go check out my work here on Instagram, or yell at me on Threads or Twitter, or you can check out my own YouTube channel where there's a lot of videos there as well, including the Comic-Con videos. Comic-Con's going to show up pretty quick, guys. We're going to be doing the 4th annual Comic-Con video soon. Can you believe it? Unbelievable, man. Didn't produce the most bangers. Thanks, Johnny. Appreciate you, man. Maybe not bangers, but we did find light that worked really well for her. Pretty clean. even in my worst day, I will produce clean shots. You know what I mean? The technical will always be there for me. It's the, I don't know, that stuff in your rib cage has to be there too sometimes. All right, guys. We will see you. I'll see you guys Wednesday for Ab Say Coffee Creators. Hang out with Ab. It's always a good time. And then I think we got Dan coming in here and a few others. So if not, if you're a Monday person, I'll see you on the next Monday, guys. But be good to each other. If you're having trouble in those forums, send them here. I'll knuckle up. All right. And I will see you on the next one. Later, guys. Peace.